It was Christmas Eve morning when Claire Morrison packed her small suitcase for the last time in the penthouse apartment overlooking the city. She folded her orange uniform carefully, the one with the white collar that she'd worn for 3 years. Her hands moved slowly, deliberately. After today, she wouldn't be coming back. Claire was 42 years old, though her warm brown eyes and gentle smile made her seem somehow both younger and wiser. She had worked as a nanny for the Bennett family since little Emma was just 2 years old. Emma was 5 now, a beautiful child with soft brown curls and the brightest hazel eyes Claire had ever seen. But Emma couldn't hear. The doctors had explained it to Claire when she first started. Complete hearing loss from birth. They said Emma would need special care, special patience. But to Claire, Emma didn't need anything special at all. She just needed love. And love was something Claire had plenty of. Claire walked down the long hallway of the apartment. The Christmas tree stood in the living room, decorated with lights that Emma had helped place, each one chosen for how it sparkled. Emma loved anything that shimmered or glowed. She experienced the world through her eyes in a way that made Claire see beauty in things she'd never noticed before. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city spread out below like a blanket of morning light. Claire paused there, remembering. 3 years of mornings. 3 years of watching Emma grow, teaching her sign language, playing games, baking cookies together. 3 years of becoming the person Emma ran to when she was scared. The person who knew exactly how to make her smile. And today, it was ending. Not because Claire wanted to leave. Not because the Bennetts were unkind. But because Claire's own mother, back in Ohio, was sick. Very sick. The call had come 2 weeks ago, and Claire knew what she had to do. Family called to family. That's what her mother had always taught her. "I'm so sorry," Mr. Bennett had said when she told him. Richard Bennett was a good man, though perhaps too focused on his work. He ran an investment firm downtown, and the weight of that responsibility showed in the lines around his eyes. He wore expensive suits and carried himself with the careful posture of someone used to being in charge. But with Emma, Claire had seen him struggle. He didn't know sign language well enough. He tried, but the words came slowly, clumsily. "I understand," he'd said. "Family comes first. We'll find someone new for Emma." Someone new. The words had hurt more than Claire wanted to admit. Now, Christmas Eve morning, Claire walked into Emma's room. The little girl was already awake, sitting on her bed with her favorite stuffed rabbit. When Emma saw Claire, her face lit up with that smile that could melt the coldest winter day. Claire sat down beside her and signed slowly. "Good morning, sweet girl." Emma's small hands moved in reply. "Morning, Claire. Is it Christmas yet?" "Tomorrow morning," Claire signed back. "Tonight is Christmas Eve, remember? We talked about Santa coming while you sleep." Emma bounced excitedly. Then her hands moved again. "Will you be here for Christmas morning?" Claire's throat tightened. She'd been dreading this moment for 2 weeks. She'd told Mr. Bennett she would be the one to explain it to. Emma. She owed the child that much. "Let's have breakfast first," Claire signed. "Then we'll talk." They went to the kitchen together. Claire made Emma's favorite, pancakes. With fresh blueberries arranged in a smiley face, Emma ate with a focused concentration. Children have when something tastes wonderful. Claire watched her, memorizing every detail. The way Emma's curls fell across her forehead, the small gap between her front teeth, the serious expression she got when she was thinking hard about something. After breakfast, Claire led Emma to the living room, to the couch by the Christmas tree. The lights blinked slowly, creating pools of colored light on Emma's face, red, green, gold, blue. Claire took Emma's small hands in her own and began to sign. "Emma, sweetheart, I need to tell you something important." The little girl's eyes grew serious. Children always know when something matters. "Do you remember when we talked about my mommy? My mom who lives far away?" Emma nodded. "My mommy is sick, very sick, and she needs me to come help take care of her." Emma's hands remained still, processing. "That means," Claire continued, her own hands steady even though her heart was breaking, "that I have to go away. Today is my last day as your nanny." For a long moment, Emma just stared. Then her small hands moved, frantic, desperate. "No, don't go. Please don't go." "Oh, sweetheart." Claire pulled Emma close, feeling the little body shake with sobs. Even though Emma couldn't hear her own crying, Claire could feel it. could feel the deep well of sadness pouring out of this child she loved like her own. They stayed like that for a long time. Claire rocked Emma gently, the way she had when Emma was tiny and couldn't sleep. She stroked her hair and signed against her back. I love you, I love you, I love you. Eventually, Emma's crying slowed. She pulled back and looked at Claire with red, swollen eyes. Her hands moved slowly. Will you come back? I don't know, Claire signed honestly. My mommy might need me for a very long time. But who will... Emma's hands paused, struggling with the sign. Who will talk to me? And there it was. The heart of it. In a world of sound, Emma lived in silence. Claire was the one person who truly spoke her language fluently, who never got frustrated when signs had to be repeated, who made communication feel easy and natural. Your daddy loves you very much, Claire signed. And they'll find a new nanny who knows sign language. But I don't want a new nanny. Emma's hands were small but fierce. I want you. You're my mom. The words hung in the air between them. Not the signs for mother or mommy, but the sign for mom, the familiar one. The one reserved for the person who was there every day, who kissed, scraped knees, and made everything better. Claire felt tears running down her own face now. Emma, I'm not really your mom. You're real, Mommy. Emma's hands cut her off. She left. She's gone. You didn't leave. You stayed. You're my mom. It was true. Emma's biological mother had walked away when Emma was 18 months old. The diagnosis had been too much for her. She'd looked at her beautiful deaf daughter and seen only limitation, only hardship. She'd filed for divorce and moved to California, sending cards twice a year that someone else probably picked out. Richard Bennett had raised Emma alone. Or rather, he'd hired people to raise Emma while he worked 18-hour days, building his company, building a future, building walls maybe around his own broken heart. Claire heard footsteps behind them. She turned to see Richard standing in the doorway, still in his pajamas and robe, his dark hair uncombed. He'd been watching them. His face looked stricken. I'm sorry, Claire said aloud, wiping her eyes. I was trying to explain. I heard, Richard said quietly. Or saw, I guess. He'd learned enough sign language to follow simple conversations if he concentrated. He walked over and knelt down beside the couch, so he was level with Emma. His hands moved, slower than Claire's, but careful. Emma, Claire has to go help her mother. We talked about this. It's important to take care of family. Emma's hands flew. But Claire is family. She's my family. Richard's hands froze mid-sign. He looked at Claire, then back at Emma. Something shifted in his face. Some wall cracking. Yes, he signed slowly. Yes, she is family. You're right. He stood up abruptly and walked to the window, his back to them both. Claire could see his shoulders rising and falling with deep breaths. When he turned around, his eyes were wet. I've been a terrible father, he said aloud, then signed as he spoke. I've been so busy trying to give you things, this apartment. Nice clothes, good doctors, that I forgot to give you me. Emma watched him intently. Claire has been more of a parent to you than I have, he continued. She's the one who learned sign language fluently. She's the one who plays with you, who teaches you, who makes you laugh. I'm just the man who pays the bills and comes home late. Mr. Bennett, Claire started, but he held up a hand. Richard. Please, Claire. After 3 years, call me Richard. Richard, Claire said gently. You're not a terrible father. You're doing your best. Raising a child alone is hard. Raising a deaf child when you don't know sign language. When her mother left, that's incredibly hard. That's not an excuse. Richard sat down in the armchair across from them. I could have tried harder. I could have learned to communicate with my own daughter instead of relying on you to be the bridge between us. Emma had been watching this exchange, her eyes moving back and forth. Now her hands moved. Daddy, are you sad? Richard's face crumpled. He nodded and signed, yes, very sad. Emma slipped off the couch and walked over to him. She climbed into his lap, something Claire had rarely seen her do, and put her small hand on his cheek. Her other hand signed against his chest. Don't be sad. We have each other. Richard wrapped his arms around his daughter and buried his face in her curls. His shoulders shook. Claire looked away, giving them privacy, but her own tears kept falling. After a moment, Richard looked up. Claire, how much would it cost to fly your mother here? For treatment? Claire blinked. I don't know. That's not possible. She can't travel. She's too ill. Then what if we brought her doctors here? Or set up care for her in Ohio with the best specialists? Whatever she needs. Richard's voice was firm now, taking on the tone he probably used in business meetings. I'll pay for everything. All of it. Whatever it costs. Richard, I can't ask you to... You're not asking. I'm offering. He looked down at Emma, still in his lap, then back at Claire. My daughter just told me you're her mother. And she's right. You've mothered her in all the ways that matter. You've loved her, truly loved her, when her own biological mother couldn't, when I was too scared and busy to fully show up. He stood up, gently setting Emma down, and walked over to Claire. Don't go, please. Emma needs you, and... His voice cracked slightly. I need you to stay so I can learn to be the father she deserves. You can teach me sign language properly. You can teach me how to connect with her. These past 3 years, I've watched you, and I've been too proud or too afraid to admit that I need help. Claire shook her head slowly. My mother! We'll have the best care money can buy. In Ohio or here, whatever she needs, whatever you need. I mean it, Claire, name it. Richard's voice was passionate now. You changed my daughter's life. Let me change yours. Emma tugged on Claire's sleeve. When Claire looked down, Emma signed, Please stay, Mom, please. That word again, Mom. Claire looked between Richard and Emma. These two people who had become her world over the past 3 years. She thought about her mother in Ohio, who would tell her to follow her heart. Who would say that love comes in many forms, and family isn't always about blood? I need to call my mother, Claire said finally. To discuss it with her. Of course. Richard was already pulling out his phone. Use my office. Take all the time you need. Claire walked to Richard's home office, her mind spinning. She dialed her mother's number and waited. Hello? Her mother's voice was weak but alert. Mom, it's me. Claire Bear. How's that sweet little girl? Is today your last day? Yes, but Mom, something happened. Claire explained everything, Emma calling her mom, Richard's offer, the impossible choice before her. There was a long silence on the other end. Then her mother spoke, and even though her body was failing, her voice carried the strength it always had. Baby girl, I'm 76 years old. I've lived a good long life. That child is 5. She has her whole life ahead of her, and she needs you. But Mom... No buts. If this man can bring good doctors to help me, wonderful. If not, your sister is here and she's taking fine care of me. But you, Claire, you've talked about Emma for 3 years. I've heard the love in your voice. That child is yours in every way that matters. Are you sure? Honey, I've never been more sure of anything. Stay with your little girl. That's where you belong. They talked for a few more minutes, working out details. Richard's offer was real. He could arrange for the best. Oncologist in the state to see her mother. Could set up home health care. Could ensure she wanted for nothing. When Claire returned to the living room, Emma was sitting on the floor by the Christmas tree, her rabbit in her lap, looking small and sad. Richard stood by the window, his arms crossed, staring out at the city. Claire walked over to Emma and knelt down. She waited until the little girl looked up. I talked to my mommy, Claire signed. She says she wants me to stay with you. Emma's eyes went wide. Really? Really? Your daddy is going to help take care of my mommy in Ohio so I can stay here and take care of you. So you're not leaving? Not leaving. Emma launched herself at Claire with such force they both tumbled backward. Emma's hands were everywhere, signing frantically. Mom! 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 Richard turned from the window, smiling through tears. So you'll stay? Yes, Claire said. I'll stay. Thank you, Richard said simply. Then more firmly, and Claire! I want to learn. Really learn. Sign language, how to connect with Emma, all of it. Will you teach me? Every day, Claire promised. That evening, after dinner, the 3 of them sat by the Christmas tree. Richard had put a moratorium on work calls. No business on Christmas Eve, he declared. They played games that Emma loved. Building blocks, coloring, simple puzzles. Richard's signing was still clumsy, but he tried. And when he got frustrated, Emma giggled and showed him the right way, her small hands guiding his larger ones. Around 8 o'clock, Claire stood up. Emma, it's time to get ready for bed. Santa comes tonight, remember? Will you read me a story? Emma signed. Of course. Can Daddy come too? Claire looked at Richard, who nodded immediately. In Emma's bedroom, the little girl put on her favorite pajamas, the red ones with snowflakes. She climbed into bed, and Claire sat on one side while Richard sat on the other. Claire picked up one of Emma's picture books, the one about a bear who couldn't find his way home for Christmas. As Claire signed the story, showing Emma the pictures, Richard watched intently, learning the signs, seeing how Claire made the narrative come alive with expression and gesture. When the story ended with the bear reunited with his family, Emma signed sleepily. "That's like us. We're all home now." "Yes, sweetheart," Claire signed. "We're all home." Emma's eyes were closing. Claire leaned down and kissed her forehead, then stood to leave. But Emma's hand shot out and grabbed Richard's sleeve. "Daddy, stay, please." Richard looked surprised. "You want me to stay?" Emma nodded. So Richard stayed, sitting in the chair by Emma's bed, watching his daughter fall asleep. Claire dimmed the lights and quietly left the room, closing the door most of the way. She walked to the living room and sank onto the couch by the Christmas tree. The lights blinked peacefully. She was exhausted, emotionally drained, but also filled with something she couldn't quite name. Joy, maybe, or hope. Richard emerged from Emma's room 20 minutes later. He sat down on the other end of the couch. "She's asleep," he said softly. "Good." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the tree lights. "Claire, I meant what I said earlier," Richard finally spoke. "About learning. About being better. For Emma. I know you did. I've been running away," he admitted. "After my wife left, after she looked at our beautiful daughter, and saw a burden instead of a blessing, I couldn't face it. I threw myself into work because it was easier than dealing with my own grief. Easier than learning a whole new language. Easier than accepting that my daughter would face challenges I couldn't fix." "You can't fix it," Claire said gently. "Emma will always be deaf." "But Richard, that's not something that needs fixing. She's perfect as she is. I know that now. Watching you with her, seeing how you never treated her disability as a limitation, it changed how I see things." He turned to look at Claire. "You gave my daughter language. You gave her confidence. You gave her love. That's everything. She's easy to love." "Yes," Richard agreed. "She is, and so are you." The words hung in the air between them. Claire felt her cheeks warm, suddenly aware of how close they were sitting, of the intimacy of this moment. "I should go to bed," she said softly. "Long day tomorrow. Christmas morning with a 5-year-old. Claire, wait." Richard reached out and gently took her hand. "I just want to say thank you. For staying. For everything. You're welcome." Claire went to her room, the small guest room that had been hers for 3 years. She changed into her nightgown and lay down, but sleep didn't come easily. Her mind kept replaying the day, Emma's tears, Richard's offer, the word Mom signed over and over. Christmas morning arrived with Emma jumping on Claire's bed at dawn, shaking her awake. "Mom! Mom!" Santa came. "Come see!" They went to the living room where Richard was already up, making coffee. He was in his pajamas, his hair a mess, looking more relaxed than Claire had ever seen him. Emma dove into her presence with the pure joy only children can muster. Santa had brought her art supplies, the kind that sparkled and shimmered. There was a new dress with a twirly skirt that caught the light, books with beautiful illustrations. But the present Emma loved most was the one from Richard. It was small, wrapped carefully. Inside was a necklace with 2 charms, a heart for Emma and another heart for Claire. Richard signed as he spoke. "These hearts represent the 2 people I love most in the world. My family." Emma put the necklace on immediately and ran to the mirror to admire it. Claire felt fresh tears starting. "Richard, that's beautiful." "I mean it, Claire. Your family now. Not just Emma's. Mine too." They spent the day together, the 3 of them. They cooked Christmas dinner together. Well, Claire and Richard cooked while Emma helped, by stirring bowls and decorating cookies with excessive amounts of frosting and sprinkles. They ate together, laughing at Emma's stories signed with animated expressions. They played games, watched the snow starting to fall outside the huge windows, sang Christmas carols, Richard singing while Claire signed the words for Emma, who danced and spun in her new dress. As evening fell and Emma finally crashed on the couch, exhausted from the excitement, Richard and Claire cleaned up the kitchen together. "This was a good day," Richard said softly. The best Christmas I can remember. Yes, Claire agreed. It was. I'm going to enroll in sign language classes, Richard said suddenly. Professional ones. And I'm going to cut back my hours at work. Emma needs me present, not just providing. I see that now. She'll love that. Richard set down the dish he was drying and turned to face Claire fully. I have one more question. And you can say no. You have every right to say no. Okay. Would you consider not being just the nanny anymore? He was nervous, Claire realized. This powerful businessman who commanded boardrooms was nervous talking to her. Would you consider being part of this family in a more permanent way? As Emma's legal guardian, maybe? Her second parent, officially. Claire's breath caught. Richard, You don't have to answer now. Think about it. I just want you to know that's where my heart is. Emma calls you mom, and she's right. You are her mom. I'd like to make that official, if you want that too. Claire looked over at Emma, sleeping peacefully on the couch, her rabbit tucked under her arm, her new necklace catching the glow from the Christmas tree. I want that, Claire whispered. Yes, I want that. Richard's face broke into a huge smile. He pulled Claire into a hug, and she let herself relax into it. Let herself feel the warmth and safety of being held. Thank you, he murmured into her hair. Thank you for saving both of us. You saved me too, Claire replied. All of us saved each other. They stood there by the Christmas tree, holding each other, while Emma slept peacefully nearby and snow fell softly outside. And Claire knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where she was meant to be. This was home. This was family. This was love. And it had all started on Christmas Eve, on what was supposed to be her last day, when a little deaf girl with hazel eyes and brown curls had signed one simple, life-changing word. Mom.